We'll call this meeting of the Silver City Town Council to order. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I ask Councillor Ray to read the mission statement?
Mission statement of the town of Silver City. Silver City is the hub of an inclusive community settled within a small town that through guided growth honors and preserves its historical, cultural, and natural heritage while facilitating jobs, health, and education resources such that the residents and visitors may enjoy and protect the recreational opportunities of the area and high quality life.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is a proclamation for several bike-oriented issues. If I could get all of you that came for the bike to line up across the front here.
Then they'll all leave. Yeah. And there'll be no one in the room. Except for some staff. Hi. Fine. How are you?
And the caption's going to read,
Well, why don't you have
pick
Nick
out
take
the bull
that,
rider.
Tim? Yeah, get in there, Tim.
Nick, you're a rider.
Come on, Tim. You need to. Come on.
Exactly like we like each other. Give me a little hint.
Now then, there we go. Much better. Everybody say cheese. Cheese. That's what professional photographers say. All right, y'all look great.
Hold on, let me read to you first before you sit.
That's it. Just turn on the camera.
We got a proclamation, whereas walking and bicycling are the most efficient and healthiest forms of transportation available, and whereas walking and bicycling between work, school, and home benefits all residents in Silver City by easing traffic congestion, reducing motor vehicle miles traveled, improving air quality, attracting new residents and businesses, and saving highway construction and maintenance dollars. And whereas walking and bicycling promotes health and fitness, encourages family recreation, and reduces the impact of transportation costs on families. And whereas walking and bicycling is a convenient way to incorporate physical activity into the daily lives of Silver City residents, contributing to a healthier population by reducing the risk of obesity and decreasing the risk of many chronic diseases. And whereas, in accordance with the New Mexico Safe Routes to Schools program, the Silver Consolidated School District has developed an action plan designed to make our streets safer for children to walk and bicycle to school. And whereas Grant County is host to the annual Tour de Gila, a nationally recognized 5-day stage bicycle race, which in 2009 generated media coverage from all around the world and contributed nearly $400,000 in ad value media exposure for Grant County. Now, therefore, I, James R. Marshall, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, in view of the inherent value of this, do hereby recognize the month of May as being National Bicycle Month, and hereby proclaim the week of May 16th to May 20th, 2011 as Bicycle to Work Week, and May 20th, 2011 as Bicycle to Work Day, and thereby encourage residents throughout the town to walk and ride bicycles for transportation and recreation, and in recognizing the importance of bicycle safety, urge motorists to be more aware of walkers and cyclists on our streets and highways. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Ralph came in.
Next item on the agenda is public input. Remind you have 5 minutes to speak, and if you're looking at me, I'll give you a 1-minute warning. And it's Mr. Luis Terrazas.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, normally we don't, you don't hear all the good input from the things that the PD does. We, obviously, the Tour de Gila was this not too long ago, and actually one of the councilors, Joe Ray's father, had passed away, and funerals have to go on, even though we have the bike race and whatnot. And it seems like every year we have some funerals coming into town. Every time we've always had a positive working relationship with, I was just telling the chief, with Silver City PD. They worked in conjunction with the officials there for the Tour de Gila. They came together, sat down with us. We had 2 funerals planned during that weekend. They've always given us the time and effort. Both Rick, I think Captain Rick Villalobos and Mark Contreras, who's lieutenant. They sat down with us. We came up with a plan of action to come in and out of the bike race, through the through the course and into the church and out in a timely manner. And it was. I just want to tell you guys thank you for that, and I want to publicly tell them that on behalf of myself, Luis Terrazas and Terrazas Funeral Chapels. We never get to thank the PD for all the stuff that they do with us, and they worked in real good manners with both the state police, the sheriff's department, the officials again. Everybody was wonderful. But I did want to really commend these guys. They took the extra effort in helping us, in making sure we were there on time and left without disturbing the bike race. We all worked out our times. And so, but beyond that, they help us, all the citizens of Grand County. We come in funerals, sometimes a couple days out of the week. We come through here, at least for myself, and they always afford the time. And I know that there's sometimes duty calls and they're on an accident or whatever, but they always try to accommodate us. And I just wanted to personally thank everybody for that. And so I just thought I'd give you a little feather in your hat. You did really well. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is council comments. Councilor Bedison, would you like to start?
I have no comments, Mayor.
Councilor Thompson.
No comments.
Councilor Ray.
Yes, I do. I would like to find out or ask to see if some of the people from the fire department can check into some of the elderly people during their work hours any day in different sections. Also, I mentioned to Chief Reynolds here a little while ago that I got asked downtown today to see if the police department may be able to do some sort of foot patrols downtown and interact with the businesses. And I was asked this a couple of times today. And I did talk to the chief about this. Also, I want to thank for the repairs done on the Fraser area, on Mountain View Road, and on Pinos Altos and Market Street. And Luis Terrazas, also for I want to give my thanks to the police department also for their road assistance during the Tour de Gila also. I met with Mr. Nick Seibel on the possibility of having some sort of a fun day downtown. And Mr. Seibel asked me to talk to the businesses in Silver City, which I did. And my proposal would like to see if we could get different agencies to be downtown as a competition-wise or a fun day. And also see the possibility of having the road closed from Broadway all the way to Bullard. And I have talked to almost all of the town merchants in making this proposal, and I have only gotten 2 no's. And I still have to go from the food co-op back up this way. And I'm working on that, and so I will give you guys a report, hopefully by the next town council meeting. I talked to Commissioner Gabriel Ramos today, and he is asked me to make a comment tonight on a proposal that he wants to do a feasible study for some sort of water. I guess it's in the Fort Barrett area. And I believe I believe he's mentioned to some of the members here. I talked to Chief Bencomo about having this fun day downtown. And one of the ideas that I came up with, maybe having some sort of like a competition-wise, but maybe like a fun thing to where we can have a wheelbarrow race between the fire department, police department, maybe get an invitation to other municipalities. Having a wheelbarrow race from maybe a block and a half, maybe a firefight, a water fight. Some sort of game. And I asked Mr. Bencomo, Chief Bencomo, to see if he could get some of his people together and make some sort of comments on it. I asked Mr. Chief Reynolds also, and he said that they would try and work things out. Where's what come later? That's it. Thank you.
Councilor Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. Very brief comments. I'd like to just play off what Mr. Terrazas was saying about the police department. I'm glad to hear when citizens are willing to come in and speak about the good things that the town employees do. One thing I have found as I've started working in this position over the last year is we do have a tremendous amount of high-quality individuals working for the town, and it's not easy. Lots of hurdles, lots of stumbles, and maybe there's complaints here and there that are somewhat justified. But overall, we have very good, hard-working people, and I really appreciate when the citizens can recognize that and also speak that to our employees. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. We'll start with that same topic. You know, I listen on the radio to the police and fire response on Sunday, and I've listened to their response on most of the fires that have been around, and I think the growth has been very remarkable, and you can rapidly see how they move from a typical scene response into a more structured incident command system, and that's not very easy to do, especially when you've got a fire racing across a neighborhood that you got to set up your command structure, and they're getting really good at it. That being said, we hope they don't get any more practice in live situations, but I also know that our guys are working hard. We can't plan for where a fire is going to pop up at every piece of land in the town to develop a plan of attack that a fire starts at any given point, and the wind is in a certain direction, the fuel load's in a certain direction. They've got to plan on the fly, and I think they're doing an exceptional job of it, and I commend both departments, and I hope you share that with the ranks. Councilor Ray mentioned a water proposal from Commissioner Ramos, and that proposal was presented to the Grant County Water Commission about 2 weeks ago and was considered by the commission. I have absolutely no problem with a recreational facility. I think recreation would do wonders for us. But that proposal, as it sits in the stage that it's in, has many other problems, and those have actually been identified problems in a study. This isn't just speaking off the cuff that I don't like his proposal. We need to make sure that we're supplying essential water to the citizens of Grant County as a water commission, versus then we can worry about recreation needs. And I'm sure before any kind of dam and Twin Sisters and Cameron Creek would be built, I will be long gone as the mayor, and Alex will probably be retired, and it's those projects are really huge, take millions and millions of dollars just to get to the point of moving dirt, and then that's millions beyond our comprehension to build a dam of that size. So I strongly hope that we'll continue to progress towards a regional water system that serves the essential water needs of the citizens before addressing any other ancillary benefits of water. And with that, we'll move on to any changes to the agenda. Hearing none. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting, April 26, 2011.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Benson.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 26, 2011.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, April 26, 2011. Any discussion? There's a motion, a second, and no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is under reports. Mr. Brown.
I'll allow Chief Bencomo to go ahead and go first.
I'd like to welcome Councilor Ray to the council. Didn't have a chance to do that the last couple of council meetings, so welcome. I'm sorry. The reason what I want to report briefly was the fire restrictions that I put in place shortly after the Quail Ridge fire back in March, the first week of March. And with all the local fires that we've been having here locally, here in Grant County and Silver City, I see the need to exercise a little bit more stringent restrictions. I met with Deputy Chief Milo Lambert this morning, and we discussed implementing some stricter restrictions. So I would like to propose that. We have to get that in the newspaper and put it, I believe, in 6 local businesses. I guess the biggest difference is that we are going to eliminate charcoal barbecue. The problem there is, what are we going to do with people that once they quit barbecuing the ashes? We just don't want to take a chance starting another fire. Gary Benavides came into office this morning, and he was off the Miller fire out there, and I believe he said it was over 50,000 acres, and the conditions right now are really, they're the worst that the state of New Mexico has ever seen. So that being said, I will be implementing these restrictions. Another thing that we spoke early this morning with the mayor and the city manager was looking into the possibility of banning fireworks. I'm starting to get a lot of phone calls, people really upset, people frightened, and they're looking at us to implement some type of restriction on that. So I'm not sure if there needs to be a resolution that needs to be adopted.
There's a resolution that needs to be adopted, and that will be brought, it has to be done 30 days prior to the 4th, prior to when we allow them to start. So we will bring it to the next council meeting on the 24th.
I thought the chief could just do it.
Not the actual, for the fireworks. I think we still have to do a proclamation. A resolution.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. I did meet with Councilor Ray, I think it was last week, about the fire department meeting with some of the elderly, taking a couple of hours out of the day to do that. Did informing with everything that we're beginning to, all the fire activity we're having. We're getting close to beginning our hose testing, our hydrant testing programs that we have in the department. Las Cruces Fire Department has a program that they call the Vecino program. Vecino means neighbor program, and it's basically spoke to one of the, I believe he was a lieutenant from Las Cruces, and he actually kind of explained how the program worked. And what they actually do is they're assigned each morning to call some of their elderly people at home just to chat with them, see how they're doing. Also, people that they call on are people that live by themselves, don't have family, sons, daughters that can call up and check on them. So he was getting ready to send me that information. So that's something that we would certainly look into doing. And he seems to think it's a pretty successful program. So,
Thank you.
all right. Any questions, Chief?
Any questions for the chief? Next chief.
Mayor, City Council, first and foremost, thank you for the compliments. And I also want to extend that to the area fire departments, the volunteer fire departments, the other law enforcement agencies that are involved. As for the bike race, the Gila downtown criterium, we had a lot of help from not only Grant County but the state police. They were extraordinary in taking care of some of the business that we needed to have taken away or out of our hands. As for the fire, unfortunately, Mayor, you're right, we're getting good at it. The processes that have been put in place, the full cooperation between the departments, not only law enforcement, but the volunteer fire departments, the city fire department, and the Forest Service. It's been great. Everybody's responded, everybody's cooperated, and it's actually been very effective in knocking down these fires fairly quick. Having said that, some of the issues that keep popping up is that we keep having individuals want to drive to the scene to see fires. Well, they need to stay out of the area because not only is it a safety issue for them, but it's also a hazard that now the fire personnel and law enforcement also have to pay attention to. They need to stay out of the area, pure and simple. We got roadblocks up for a reason. Don't try and find avenues into the area, which now causes us to have to take action, take personnel away from a specific location to deal with that issue. Secondly, if you're told by a law enforcement officer your house is threatened, it's becoming a safety issue for you, and your property is very close to that, and you're told to evacuate, you need to evacuate because it's your safety. It gets up there and you end up dying as a citizen, you end up dying. Law enforcement or the agencies involved are going to get blamed for it. So you need to pay attention to what the officers tell you. If it's a mandatory evacuation, you need to leave. Don't argue with the officers. They're there to do a job, pure and simple on that. Now, moving to the fire issue at hand, and backing up Chief Bencomo's presentation, unfortunately for the police department, we're going to have to move to a zero tolerance in this area. We're also going to put together a unit that will come out and specifically target fire issues, be it fireworks, be it the open burning, etc., to augment or supplement the fire department's efforts. We need to stop the fires. It's a very dry season. We anticipate this going into at least the first part of July if our monsoon season's hit. It's iffy. It could change, but it's still iffy, and it's very dry out there. As an example, the fire out towards Santa Clara apparently that started from a spark from a bullet impacting a target, a metal target. I'm not sure, but that's their best guess on this. So anything is going to, because of the dry and it's very windy, is going to create immense problems with fire and it getting out of control very quickly on that. Any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Along with the fire hazards, I sent out a report on the monthly pumping, water pumping to each of you a couple of days ago. As of the end of April, we are actually 25% above the average for the same point for the last 10 years. That was last year, 25% above last year, 10% above the last 10 years. So we're pumping a lot of water. A lot of it is due to the fire, the drought situation. So there's a lot of water being used out there. Along with that, annually we do a leak detection. We have a company that comes in and looks for water leaks. They actually use, I don't know what type of a system, but they listen to the water mains, and they can hear if there's a leak in the system. And they focused on the southern part of town this year. We do it twice a year, and they focused on the southern part of town. And one of them, we had 6 leaks that we found, and that's probably the most that we found in a few years. I don't know if it was due to the cold or what, but there was actually one that was a 4-inch line that had a crack in it, and there was a sewer service not very far from it that the water never showed up on the surface because it was actually leaking straight into the sewer service and going straight into the system and going down to the wastewater treatment plant. When they opened that up, they had water shooting 20 feet in the air. That's how much water was going. We've also been focusing on those types of things to try to save water, and we do it every year, twice a year. I want to talk a little bit about the 180 project. The Highway Department said it's supposed to be done by the end of the month. We took advantage of the fact that Cutler is here, and we went ahead and contracted with them to do a similar type project on Pope Street from 14th down to 12th. And if they're able to get their equipment back up, they did have their asphalt lay-down machine broke down, so they're working on getting that back and running. So if they're able to, we're hoping that they'll have everything Pope Street done by the festival. Pope Street's going to be done a little bit differently. They're going to actually just mill out the edges of the street because the middle of Pope in that area is concrete. It's like 8-inch concrete, so it tear up the milling machine. So they're going to go ahead and mill the outer edges up to 12th Street, and then lay down new asphalt on top of the edges and the middle, because that part of the street will then end up with the same type of drainage system that's on the what would it be, the southern part of Pope, which we've already done the reconstruction, and it's already crowned in the middle for drainage. So just wanted to let you know that. And we were actually really lucky because once I started running the numbers for the cost of that, to do that part of Pope, the gross receipts that we're going to get off of the 180 project is pretty much going to pay for that Pope Street project. So it was a win-win.
Very good. Also, along the lines of the highway project, we had sent several recommendations to DOT on lane width and changes in striping and the response that we get back is the plan is done. I will be speaking to Mr. Love out of the district office tomorrow. I had a message today that he wants to talk to me, so I'll give him a call. And I think Mr. Love has intention of improving the level of participation between the two. This project, I don't know, this project has kind of been a mess since the day they started it 2 years ago. But that's why we're having a mill and overlay today. I hope we can work better with Mr. Love and produce a safer street. We've heard the data on the accidents on the east side of the construction project has not been good, and we'll continue to work with them and see if we can improve that. Anything else in the reports?
No, that's...
Any questions from the council? The next item is item A under new business, approval, disapproval of bid 10-11-11, Vistas de Plata subdivision phase 1.
Mayor and Council, you have a recommendation in front of you. We put out a bid to do, it was actually the base, to do phase 1 of the Vistas de Plata subdivision. It was actually split up into, phase 1 was actually split up into phase 1A, which is the base bid, phase 1B, which is the additive alternate 2, and then additive alternate, additive alternate 2 is the widening of 10th Street. As you can see, there is not enough funds available to award the base bid and additive alternate 1, so we were looking at doing the base bid and additive alternate 2. But with further discussions with HUD, they would rather us award the base bid and then use the remainder of the funds to build houses on those lots that are made available with this infrastructure. So I'm going to change our recommendation, staff's recommendation to, we did receive 2 bids, one from Southwest Concrete and Paving and the other from Merrill Enterprises out of Las Cruces. It's staff's recommendation to award the base bid for $636,538.50 plus gross receipts tax to Southwest Concrete and Paving.
Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor.
I move to approve staff's recommendation to award the bid to Southwest Concrete and Paving with base bid of $636,538.50 plus gross receipts tax.
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There's a motion and a second to award this bid to Southwest Concrete and Paving for $636,538.50 plus gross receipts tax. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is budget presentation by Alex Brown, Town Manager, Finance Director, and request for Council's direction.
Mayor and Council, right now I have preliminary budget numbers for the general fund, the water sewer fund, and the sanitation fund. You have a presentation in front of you. I think my pages got a little bit backwards, but I want to explain for the newer members of the council, a little bit about how our general fund is funded. First of all of our revenues, the largest source of revenue in the general fund is gross receipts taxes. That is, for the general fund, I'm estimating to be about $7.2 million this next year. Franchise fee is the second largest, and that's approximately $337,000. Property taxes is in the range of $270,000. Fines and forfeitures, which is approximately $200,000, and then other miscellaneous, which is about $190,000. So if when we're talking about gross receipts taxes, that is the lifeblood of operations for the town of Silver City. That provides most of the services that we do provide. My budget revenue estimates are, I'm looking at about a 1.2% increase over what I project that we will end up at this year. So I'm projecting that we'll receive about $8.5 million, close to $8.6 million in gross receipts taxes. As you can see in the presentation, not all of the gross receipts taxes go into the general fund. Of that 8.5, 7.2 goes into the general fund. 768 would go into the water. 768,000 would go into the water sewer fund. 368,000 into the public safety tax fund, which goes strictly for police and fire. It helps provide additional patrol police officers as well as an additional firefighter, and it helps provide additional equipment for the two departments. $192,000 would go to the sanitation fund. I do want to say up front that I believe that this is a very conservative estimate, because I believe that by the end of this fiscal year, we may end up at the rate that we're going these last few months, we may actually reach $8.5 million this year, and that's close to our 2008 numbers. So that's looking good for us. The expenditures that I'm projecting, for fiscal 2011, which was last year, the expenditures were budgeted at $8,003,000. The proposed expenditures for this next year would be $8.466 million. That would be a 6% increase. The total revenue projections, which would be all the revenue sources that I did talk about earlier for the general fund, would be $8.4 million, up from $7.8, which was budgeted, estimated for last year. That's a 7% increase in the revenue projections, and like I said, that's actually a low estimate. I did give you some numbers by department. I do want to talk about a few of the highlights. There's and actually personnel is more of what I'm going to talk about in the general fund. The budget includes a half of an FTE for the municipal court. There is actually, and I don't know if some of you weren't here last year, but I had to budget for two museum directors. One, because our museum director was retiring, and I had to budget her salary for a full year plus the interim person that came on. So there was an additional position provided there. What I'm proposing is to keep that FTE within the department, but it won't be the director. It would be actually an education person who is actually going to go out and start outreach programs at the local schools and doing outreach into the community, rather than, we want to start doing a lot more outreach at the museum. Another one is there's 2 additional FTEs at the police department. Another place where there's some changes, the supervisor for facility maintenance is retiring, and I'm proposing not to replace that position, but I had to budget his salary for approximately 4 months. The next one is an additional FTE at the library, and then the recreation center, there's an additional 1.5 FTEs to get us back up to the 2008 levels when we had the hiring freezes, and because the recreational areas were where we froze and took the most cuts back when the economy went south in the last few years. If you have any comments or want me to look at any of the other departments, please let me know.
Can I get you to go back one page? General Fund FY12. Would you just entertain me and explain why we're spending more than our revenues show on this page?
Oh, because we're actually transferring in some funds, some revenue from the water sewer fund to help pay with some of the grants, the match funds for some of the grants that would be transfers in.
I knew that answer, but if somebody just picks this up and reads it, it looks like we're deficit spending for 2 years in a row.
Oh, no, it's because we transfer in some funds from revenue from different funds to help pay for the matching funds for a lot of our grants out of the general fund.
And those are excess revenues?
Yes, excess revenue. I mean, when we get into the water sewer fund, you'll see that the water sewer fund we're starting at. I'm being very conservative and looking at a zero beginning cash balance and ending up at a $467,000 reserve. So
I'm really happy that we're able to add at least 2 to the police department.
And Councilor Morales, you had an idea earlier. Do you want me to look into that? I mean, at our work session?
I think it would be worthwhile debate, yes.
Okay.
And you're referring to a position to aid with like lodger's tax and that type of stuff.
Is that okay with the council?
And marketing and promotions? Yeah, all of that.
I'm a little hesitant to go there, but I think if we do, I think it should be more marketing and promotions to include lodger's tax, more than like a half time to just deal with the lodger's tax.
Yeah, it would be somebody that actually is doing the marketing, working on the marketing and advertising.
Because we're really, really bad at marketing. I mean, none of us are marketers.
Yeah. It would take a special person to do that.
Did you say it takes a special person to make us look good? Councilor Bedison.
I was going to say...
Somebody we don't have on staff.
Imagination.
I was going to say, yeah, I think marketing promotions, I think the reason why lodger's tax was even mentioned is because to ensure that during that marketing promotions, as they're doing it, that they're ensuring that they get, that the entities that are actually, where the ads have been placed are getting, we're getting paid and everything's being done. Yeah, but I think marketing promotions, I think we need that. We need to have a position that's dedicated to that. And I think with the town would be excellent.
Okay, I can start working on that. Thanks.
I would just like to see, if we do fill that position, that we really watch it and see if we're able to tie an impact. I mean, that position may be able to be self-sufficient.
That's true. By increased revenue through tourism.
I mean, my hesitation on that position is just, if it's not really self-sufficient, we still have a lot of other critical needs that go to our charter function, which is life, safety, health. And so that position may fund itself, and it may enhance our funding available for life, safety, and health. Councilor.
I was going to say, like all the contracts, something like that, I think that we need to have outcomes, what we expect to see, and be able to measure the efficiency and efficacy of that position.
Okay. All right, the next is the water sewer fund, and basically the the water sewer fund is funded through the water, sewer, and wastewater. Additionally, like I said earlier, gross receipts taxes, it does receive gross receipts taxes, and then miscellaneous users fees, which are very small. The projected estimates for revenues for fiscal 2009 is $2.9 million for water fees. The base wastewater, sewer and wastewater fee is $339,000. The sewer fees would be $350,000. Wastewater fees would be $638,000. Gross receipts taxes, $768,000, and then miscellaneous fees of $106,000. As you see on the next page, what I'm projecting is a 3% increase in total revenues from $5,003,000 for fiscal 2011, which we're probably going to surpass again, and then to $5.157 million for fiscal 2012. Total projected expenses we're looking at $4,020,000 compared to fiscal 2011, which was $3,886,000, a 3% increase from the same time the previous year's estimates. All increases are based on increased activity, except for the sewer and wastewater fees. Last year we passed an ordinance that requires that annually I review the sewer and wastewater fees and ensure that the base fee covers all outstanding debt service for sewer and wastewater. The sewer fee must cover the operational cost for the sewer, which is the transmission of the waste from the community to the wastewater treatment plant. And then the wastewater fee must cover the cost of operating the wastewater treatment plant. Based on my projections, I'm going to have to propose a 5% increase in the per 1,000 gallon rate for sewer. It's going from 97 cents per 1,000 gallons to $1.02 per 1,000 gallons. The wastewater fee would go from $1.80 per 1,000 gallons to $1.86 per 1,000 gallons, and that's based on the winter quarterly average. We get an average for December, January, and February for those 3 months, and then you're charged based on that fee every year. The base rate would not go up because we don't have any additional debt service.
Councillor.
Wasn't there a discussion, was it not to use February because of the big freeze? I thought we were only going to do...
All of those bills were adjusted back to everybody that had high usage.
They were adjusted
They were adjusted back to coincide with the previous 2 months. So say, for instance, you used 6,000 in December, 6,000 in January, and 12,000 in February. February's was adjusted down to 6,000 to have the 6,000 average.
Because some people had
water leaks
also in that, the big snow and freeze that we had at the end of the year, in the beginning of the new year. So there were two sets of, the one in February was worse.
They had water leaks. Those are all adjusted.
Okay, so they're all adjusted. Okay.
We usually, I talked to Linda about that, and she said usually she has to adjust about out of the close to 6,000 sewer accounts that we have. She has to adjust approximately 50-some every year because of water breaks that happen during the winter quarterly average. She had to adjust more than closer to 600 this year. So they were all adjusted, and we've had very few complaints about the adjustments.
Just a question.
When do you plan on doing this?
I'll do it at the same time as I bring the budget at the next council meeting.
Was the solar field project considered?
The solar field is considered. I was conservative on the savings. Last year I budgeted $250,000 for electrical usage at the wastewater treatment plant. This year I budgeted $220,000. The savings, based on the estimates, is going to be more like $80,000. So it may be down in the $170,000. But until we sign the contract and everything is in place, and then because the solar field is designed to supply 70% of the total usage, I don't have the unknown of what PNM is going to do as far as rate increases. I want it to be more conservative than on that one.
That was my next question. That hearing started yesterday and should end on or before the 18th. So hopefully you'll get a better idea what to project for next year after that hearing.
We went to that presentation, Mayor, and there at the, publicly it's officially a 10-point-something% increase, but when they brought in medium to large users into the room, and they handed each one of us a paper based and saying what they expected our individual increase to be. Ours wasn't 10 point whatever, it was 18.7% increase is what they looked at ours to be. But that they didn't take into account that our SCADA system, and that we're going to be able to change most of our pumping to off-peak hours for the the water, and that actually the only time we are really going to be using PNM power at the wastewater treatment plant is during off-peak hours as well. So there's so many unknowns right now between 18% and 10%. When I'm doing the budget, I'm going safer than sorry.
Yeah, we were only 700 kilowatt hours over, putting us in a much more reasonable rate structure. Yeah. I'm hoping that our solar project will put us below the 10,000 mark into that.
Well, to be honest, just adjusting the pumping, the majority of our wells would be in that lower rate structure. We would only have approximately 3 to 4 of our wells in the higher rate structure, and that's because of demand charges and the fact that we're going to have to pump during peak hours, especially now this time of the year. When we're down around 50 to 60 million gallons a month, we can cover all of the pumping at night. But once we get into the 70 to 90 million, which we pumped last month, we are pumping into the daytime, into peak hours, just to keep up with demand. And then the fact that we just don't have enough storage. We could pump everything as much as we wanted all night, but we don't have enough storage facilities to hold everything that we would pump. So
working on it.
We're working on it. We're getting more, but there's all those different things that we're trying to get worked into place. So, but again, the water rate. This is going to be the 3rd year in a row that we don't have. I'm not proposing a water rate increase. So that affects approximately 6,700 accounts within that are actually tied to the system, as well as all the water associations, because if our local residents get a rate increase, that same rate increase applies to all of the water associations. So will be no water rate increase for 20,000 residents, approximately 20,000 residents that we supply water to. Okay. Next is the sanitation fund. The revenues from the sanitation fund is basically users' fees, the collection system, and landfill fees. Also, again, we have gross receipts tax that goes into that fund, miscellaneous revenues, which are primarily the rental fees that we charge for the containers and dumpsters. The total revenue that we're projected for this next year is $2.1 million. Of that, $1,068,000 is collection fees, $786,000 is landfill fees, $192,000 is gross receipts fees, and then $64,500 is miscellaneous. Total projected revenue $2.1 million, up from $1.97 million, an increase of 7%. Total projected expenditures is $1.79 million, up from $1.76 million, a 2% increase in expenditures. Basically, some of the highlights in the sanitation fund is there's an automatic 3% increase that is built into the ordinance, so that is mandatory unless you change the ordinance. And then something that we've been very lucky with is the sanitation has been very strong and stable, and this fiscal year we actually had to spend an additional $110,000 for engineering and some work at the old landfill. We were getting a lot of methane hits from some of our monitoring wells, and we had to do a lot of research and try to figure out what that was, because the Environment Department was actually looking to propose that we pumped the water in the area of the wastewater treatment plant and treated it, which would have cost us millions of dollars. So we started doing all the research. Basically, what ended up happening was with our engineers and finally getting them to come out, we found out that when they closed the old landfill, whoever did it decided to put a monitoring well in the middle of the trash. So the monitoring well, there was no way you couldn't get hit. It was in the middle of the trash, and it was supposed to be a downstream monitoring well. So basically, the Environment Department thought that the contamination was traveling. Well, it actually wasn't traveling. We do have some other downstream monitoring wells, which are technically right now in the right place, which have never got any hits. So the one thing that we probably are going to have to spend about $100,000 next year to do some venting, and then to do some drainage improvements out there at the old landfill. So, and then we're going to continue to replace some of the equipment. It's that old, ugly brown truck that does the hand pickups, the Burro.
It is ugly. Just have to say.
So that's the one that, because there are just a lot of streets in town that there's no way that we can get the side loaders in there. We do have to do hand pickup on a few streets. But I do want to say that this year we did budget only to replace the side loader. We were not replace it, but get a second side loader for a backup, and then we were also able to purchase the truck that we're going to be using for the large item pickup. It's being outfitted with a I don't know what you call it, a boom type things so that we'll start providing a service where you can call and schedule a pickup, and we will be able to go out and pick up old refrigerators, old washers and dryers, couches, so we can do those large item pickups once or twice a week. And that would all be able to, we wouldn't have to increase personnel to do it, but we'll have the equipment. I do want to say that, I don't know if you remember when we had that big, when we had the Quail Ridge fire, they had to close the landfill, and we weren't able to go dump at the landfill, and it was on a Tuesday, which is our largest route. Because we did have the additional side loader, we actually had the capacity to go out and complete all of the routes and hold the trash in the dump trucks for the night until the landfill opened the next day. So we do have enough capacity to go out and continue our routes, even if something happens out at the landfill now. So we're in a good place, I think, as well as, with the increased recycling. And I did tell you at the work session, the estimated number to award for lodging tax is $225,000. That's up from 183 that we awarded last year.
Comments?
Just on the last one, if I could, is it in looking for this position that will focus on promotions and marketing and a small amount from the lodger's tax?
It won't be. I wouldn't try to use any of the lodger's tax for that.
Okay, just wanted to see if it would be separate entirely to the town budget. Okay, thank you.
Comments?
Is it even plausible to have that? Is there even room to even warrant that discussion?
I'll go back in and I'll figure something out for you.
I just think it's interesting to point out that the residential property tax rate is .0011.
Yeah.
And non-residential is twice that, .002212.
We have some of the lowest property taxes in the state.
And we don't get much of it on the municipal side.
Now, that's property tax to us is really nothing compared to the county, which I think it's a larger. I think it's more than half of their budget in the general fund. So their funds are a lot more stable. You have the mines go down for a municipality, all those jobs that are lost within 3 months, we see the impact. Where on the other hand, the municipality or the state, they have a lot longer time to react to situations where the economy changes. And I think we've done a good job at reacting, being proactive, and reacting quickly to keep us in good shape.
They also had tax lightning, which they could experience a quick increase and then a slow decrease, which is what the legislature is trying to fix. This year during the legislative session, we did have some very interesting discussions about the way municipalities are funded versus counties, and I was told that bonding against gross receipts is really not a good idea by a legislator that really, really knows better than to say that, I think, because that's our revenue. I mean, we would never have any bonded projects if we didn't bond against gross receipts. So it gets really interesting when you're having the hold harmless talks.
And then, all the, water, sewer, sanitation funds, those types of projects, you can raise user fees. We can raise them to get loans. We got the $1.8 or the $1.3 million loan. That's included in the water sewer fund. The debt service for that is included. that's a $140,000 increase to the budget, and we still didn't have to raise water rates, but it's because we sell water outside our community, so we are lucky in that aspect. But when it comes to gross receipts taxes, I mean, even when they start exempting certain items from gross receipts taxes, that was the big issue with the food and medical, the hold harmless, is that they exempted food and medical services, which are some of the biggest producers of gross receipts taxes for municipalities. And I mean, even municipalities like Barrett would have seen an 8% decrease right off the bat. Ours was somewhere like, I believe, 14% that we would have lost. We would have seen some huge decreases. And then the fact that, I've sat in many different forums with legislators, and they're basically saying, don't depend on the state, don't depend on the federal government for your infrastructure. Well, leave our gross receipts taxes alone, and then maybe we can do something with them.
If they want to get real adventurous, they can divvy it up again and make both of us have more unstable, and we would gain some stability. That'd be an interesting fight with the Association of Counties. Any other discussion on the budget? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is appointment of 2 members to the Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement Citizens Advisory Committee. And I have 3 applicants. One of them actually gave me some interesting thought. I'm generally pretty cautious to keep appointments somewhere in line with my ideals. I don't call them up and interview them very closely, but this one made me really think. And I did speak to the chair of the committee, and she supports my recommendations. Both of the people that I'm going to recommend have been participating in the committee in a productive manner, and she feels that having the diversity on the group is positive, and I agree. And my recommendations would be to Denise Smith and Peter Burrows. Is there any objection? Yes, sir. Hearing none, consider them appointed. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second? Thank you. There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.